This is Bloomberg Markets. I'm John Erlichman. In the late 40s, a young family came to Canada from Germany with hopes of starting a new life. A few years later, young Ed Sonshine began his career as a lawyer before turning to real estate in the late 80s. He founded the second real estate investment trust in Canada in 1993, took it public in 1994 under the name Riocan, a name many Canadian investors are familiar with. Sonshine led the company until he retired as CEO in 2021. This week, he's being inducted into the Canadian Business Hall of Fame. And Ed Sonshine joins us now. Ed, it's always great to see you, and congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
It's an opportunity to think back on the path that you paved. What goes through your mind when you think about your career?
Well, you know what? It's been a long one. I managed to stay CEO till I was 74, which when I look back on it, I say, wow. But I probably waited 1 year too long because the first year of the pandemic was the last year of my being CEO. So it was an interesting, but I think what really I look at is, you know, there really wasn't a grand vision. It was a situation of sort of taking advantage or being defensive against whatever was going on in the world, particularly the Canadian real estate world at that time. So, you know, it ended up great. And, you know, we obviously moved the ship in the right directions, but it wasn't a straight path by any means.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced? You know, obviously you've enjoyed a lot of success. Everybody sees the positive headlines. What is the biggest challenge when you're trying to build a business and then obviously continue to execute?
Well, if I go back to the beginning, biggest challenge was convincing people in the investing public that real estate was a good investment. You know, we started this, we came out of the huge recession of the early 90s, where, you know, the standard joke was you want to get even with your kids, leave your real estate to them. So, you know, we've come a long way from that, obviously. But I would say the biggest challenge from time to time was, you know, people. It takes a few tries to get the exact right team around you, because even though an individual has a huge amount of leverage in real estate, because of the enormous amounts of capital you can control and use, you need a serious-sized team with all the right skills to be able to build Riocan from under 100 million in 1994 to more like 14 billion today.
And so for those who are very curious and have always been curious on your views on the industry, obviously we've heard a lot about the real estate market in this environment, with rates complicating things, certainly for some commercial properties as well. What have been your observations of this environment right now?
Well, obviously interest rates moving up at really a record pace. I mean, we're not at anything like interest rates I've seen in my career. I mean, when we started Riocan, mortgage rates were double digits. If you could get a mortgage under 10, that was great. But obviously, based on what we've experienced the last 10 years, they're relatively high right now. Having said that, the biggest part of Riocan's business, and I think this may surprise well, not surprise that it's retail, but I think it will surprise everybody that retail is as strong as, quite frankly, I've seen it in the last 15 years. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, that nobody's built any new shopping centers, probably in, well, certainly in not the last 7-8 years, and it's really diminished after that. Yet the population keeps growing. There was a lot of publicity about the fact that Canada's population grew by 1 million people, I think, in 2022. Clearly, that puts a lot of wind behind the sails of residential real estate, and our residential portfolio that's just growing is doing fantastic because of that at rents that, you know, are very good. But 1 million extra people also need to buy groceries and go to the drugstore and buy a pizza. So, you know, with the lack of new retail that's been built and with the population growth that's happened, our shopping centers are not only as full as they've ever been in history, they're getting rents higher than we've ever seen.
So a balancing of economics with demographics, obviously, is something that everybody's got to consider over the longer term here.
Yeah, you have to look at both. I mean, office obviously is the weak sister, so to speak. It's not as bad as in Canada as it may appear to be in the United States, but the whole pandemic and the work from home phenomenon, is taking its toll on office occupancy. But I think that'll change over the next couple of years.
Okay, so we'll watch that, see what happens on that front. It is notable that you said that you had to convince people that buying into real estate was a good idea. Obviously, there are a lot of Canadian investors who can't get enough of REITs. And I also wonder about buying into the story of building in Canada, right? There's always that challenge. We talk to a lot of different entrepreneurs about the positives and the challenges too. What would you say to those who want to build their own real estate empire or want to do their own, next big Canadian thing about building a business here in this country?
It's still a good environment to build a business, particularly in the real estate. I remember saying to somebody back in the 90s, I said, look, people are always going to need a place to live. They're always going to need a place to shop. And more than likely, they'll need a place to work. It may not always be the office as we think of it, but we need factories, we need warehouses, and that's not going to change when you've got a growing population and a growing economy. The difference from perhaps 30 years ago is the amounts of capital you need has probably increased exponentially. The good news to counter that is the amount of private capital that's available to young entrepreneurs with a good idea and good skills is vastly more available than it was 30 years ago. So I think Canada's environment for building a business is very good. Canada's environment for building buildings is extremely difficult, probably more difficult than it was 25 or 30 years ago.